Hi, my name's Deadpool. Because Deadpool came out the 12th, I think, I'm going to be giving my last video on this. It's not a hat or a helmet, it's a mask this time, so deal with it. And also understand that my reading skills may be below par because these things weren't designed very well for sight. But we're going with it. Let's see, I'm giving this one. This is my summary on the race amalgamation, pages 76 through 101. And again, the Deadpool mask does not apply to what I'm actually talking about, just so you know. Let's see. Starting off, we're going to be talking about Friedrich Ludwig Hoffmann. He was born in Varel, Germany in 1865. He was the one who wrote Race Amalgamation. He migrated to the US in 1884 and got very famous in the company called Prudential. His work was an example of the time of social science that it was very important in the early 1900s. Let's see. People tried to use more science in the courts, bringing about scientific racism. People like Morton, with, skull size being important, because it's not. Let's see. Laws were racially prejudiced due to the racism of scientists who genetically found how inferior African Americans were to the white folk. Let's see. Today, a lot of this scientific racism is just silly, but at the time they didn't know better. First, in race amalgamation, he establishes there were no longer true black people, that they had pretty much been bred into what they are today, kind of, in a way. Not specifically what they are today, just, they had blended so much with the white people that they mixed. Let's see. While white women didn't so much mingle with African Americans, many white males did. In his research, he found more cases of white males and African females getting together than he did white females with African males. Many scientists believed that the intermixing of races would lead to the decay or extinction of civilization. It was thought that mixing the mixed offspring of two separate races had a higher mortality rate, and they were downgraded from both of their parents. The mixing between white and black people, that was those mixed people were known as mulattoes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but we're just gonna roll with it. And these mulattoes, he theorized that they're inferior to both the black people and the white people. Let's see. Much like Morton, he went into sizes of people. So the average sizes for whites, blacks, and mulattoes showed that white people were slimmer on average. They were slimmer, weight-wise, and they were bigger. So they weighed less and their size was bigger. Black people were typically, according to his research, black people and mulattoes, they weighed more but were smaller. So that kind of solidifies the scientific racism that white people were big, muscular kind of people. It varies. Let's see. Where was I? Statistics like this one were proven that mulattoes were inferior. Most cases, they proved that mulattoes were inferior to both races. The facial makeup and head size, which he also used like Morton did, he showed the fact that mulattoes, their intellect was their skulls were slightly bigger than that of African Americans, bigger than more black people, but they were smaller than white people at the same time. So, in intelligence-wise, mulattoes were cut just above black people, but not quite as far as white people were. Forgive my this longer video because as it's stated before, it is kind of hard to see with this. It's just more for entertainment value. Another problem that he ran into with the intermixing of races that it would in most cases increase mortality rates of the mulattoes, that they would have a shorter lifespan than either of their parents. Studies also showed that people of differing religions would have different rates of birth. So people who stayed in their own religions, for some odd reason, would produce more children. Like, say, a Christian person and a Jewish person had a bunch of children. They would have less children than someone who was than a family of all Christians or a family of all Jewish people. And this wasn't specifically tied down to America, although whites and blacks were a good example. It also applied to places like the Lapps and the Russians. Like, they found groups that didn't really mix well. So the research says. In general, he views that most races would not want social or sexual interaction with one another. And that those who are, in most cases, cause disease, or the intermarried groups from his studies showing that most of them were prostitutes or criminals, or were sick of something, or something was wrong for it to happen. Most cases. There were a couple of cases where well-off white or black people did get in good relationships. And also, as stated, he didn't strictly go against white and black people. He also included other races like Indians, Asians, etc. Just anyone. Okay. So I've gotten everything I can out of that. His thing was that people shouldn't really intermix because it would kind of ruin both races. Mortality rates would go up and people would just die off. Sorry for this long video. Okay, how does this modify or solidify Gould and mismeasurement? Taking this off because it's hot. According to his research, it just kind of shows how silly it all is, how measurements of size and everything don't really make sense. It solidifies it. If Gould was explaining how this was, he would do it the same way Morton did. How showing he might have just outright thrown out some of the people. I've made this video long enough, so bye.